Dummy Switch Pod, the world's
Yes,
most
sir.
dangerous rugby podcast. How are you, Chris?
Yeah, we coming at ya. We coming at ya. I'm good. I'm good. Kodas, how's it?
I'm good. Ulster Lions. I knew it would happen, but and it's gonna come, but it's still gonna break your heart.
Yeah.
It's still gonna break your heart. It's like the girl that is leaving, but it's still you can see she's gonna leave, but
Ain't
it still
nothing you
breaks your heart.
can do.
Yeah, there was nothing. Unfortunately, it felt like
Yeah.
there was something we could do, but there was nothing we could
Yeah.
do. The Lions, I think we should start there because, it was entertaining. I feel like it was one of the more
Yeah.
entertaining matches of the weekend, which seems to become a characteristic of this team. I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
being biased here, but
Mm-mm.
if you can tell me any of the other fixtures, were they more entertaining?
Well, I was entertained by the Sharks, I was entertained. I liked what I saw with the pack, but in terms of the Lions, yeah, definitely. I think we've been mentioning it that they look like they're getting back to that level where that Super Rugby 2017, 2018 level where they were they were serious. They were a serious team, and they're looking like it. The players are stepping up defensively. Yeah. Look, obviously, when they needed to be lambasted, they were lambasted, early in the season, but they've gotten the house in order, seemingly. And as
But
much
that's the
as,
thing.
yes,
There's still things, they decided that they're gonna kick off, try and put pressure on Ulster. What happens? Quick turnover. You're already points behind so early in the game. So
mm,
there's things like that. There's things like the line out where
yeah,
these are things you can work on. There's things like Nohamba's kicking, which he's been
mm,
great, but it continues to be a theme, and these are all
inconsistent.
fixable things.
Yeah, all fixable. That's why I say it's not a bad result for the Lions, man. Like, yes, you have to, in the context, okay, yes, they didn't get the win, but they got the bonus point. I think they even got two, because they came within 2 points and they got the try scoring bonus point,
But
So,
again, even when it came down to those final minutes, Kutsia couldn't kick it out. Then we get the second chance, line out. They couldn't make it work.
yeah, so it's one we can say that they let go, they let go. But in terms of where they are as a team, come on, Coders, give them some credit, in terms of where they
No,
are as a
no, no, no,
team,
no, no. As a
and
team,
they,
yes, yes. I
you know,
give I give credit. There's strides have been made.
yeah.
Things are on the up and up. Relatives of upper management are no longer starting. Chitukas are starting. So,
Yeah, yeah,
things
yeah.
there's just things like ball retention. That was a bit of a
Mm,
problem for us. Mike Lowry had a great game. I felt like
Mike Lowry.
Mike Lowry, you heard Fudge say it, but he had one of those games where it's just like it's one of those statement games to say that it's one of those where I should be starting for my international team games. He had
Mm,
one of those against the Lions, but besides that, we are making strides. But
yeah,
all I'll say is I could be happier.
yeah. I understand that, and I understand that from a South African context for sure, especially at home. It's just unfortunate they couldn't keep that winning streak going, that momentum.
Yeah.
But they'll take a lot from this game, and I think tough Ulster team for sure. And it looks like Dad is getting his form back.
Mm.
He's slowly, the diesel engine is getting there. So yeah, it's on to the next one for the Lions, which is also going to be a challenge. But I think one that they'll pretty much enjoy again. I think probably tit for tat with Glasgow. You know,
No, we're gonna finish them. We're gonna finish them. Don't worry about that.
hey, look, they're not a bad team, but we have to believe.
Yeah, Franco Horn having good game here. He's a try man this season. Looks as though
Mm,
Pepsi is breathing down his neck when we're talking about guys coming to box selections. Mone van der Berg, I think he's the new guy on Fraud Watch. I think Marius Lowe has been taken off.
Yeah.
The issue with Marius Lowe is that he used to play flank, so the hands are always going to come into question. But besides that, Marius Lowe, you're off Fraud Watch. It's now Mone van der Berg. You are now on Fraud Watch.
But you know what? I think it's the ebb and flow. I think it's just that thing of the Lions, and I think also the Bulls, where you're not having enough guys that are when they slot in, they're still delivering either the same or better quality performance, with little errors and keeping the momentum for the team, and that's where, I believe, a team like the Bulls is struggling, and some players like Van der Berg, I think he is going to struggle with that because all of a sudden, Nohamba, he's pushed him out, so I think he's shook, and, we'll see. He's got to respond. But I'm just trying to think what it would, be like, for in that position.
We'll see, because he's going to get pressure from the guy coming up from the under-21s as well. So we'll see. He's dealing with it on both sides. If you're talking Bulls, you went to Bulls. Bulls, they faced a wounded Munster side. Munster, it's unfortunate that they faced a team that it was do or die for them.
Yeah.
So the hunger, you can't compete, and they're at home. You can't compete with that kind of hunger. I felt like the Bulls didn't win any contest, any 50-50, any collision, any desire. And on top of that, Wessels continues to struggle with his lineouts.
I think they must be careful that they mustn't fall victims of their own system, where, yes, they've got all the stocks as well. They do, in terms of, maybe not all sort of international, but the potential bubbling under. There's a lot there at the Bulls. But the thing is, it's almost like guys already know that guys know that you know what I mean? So if you talk about the hunger, the guys that are starting there, they especially in the back, they know that, no, I'm the guy, and there's nobody that's really, for me, that's sort of putting their hand up and saying, yo, I'm here, and it sort of contributes, perhaps can contribute to that complacency because they don't start well, and it's the week before. It's almost the same story with
exactly. That's the thing for me. It looked like a traveling team. Again, it looked like a team that just took the flight overseas. They should have been acclimatized. They should have come out. Okay, we lost. We're gonna go again, and we just didn't see any of that. They were bullied.
Yeah,
I felt like certain players, like Elric Lowe, like the loose forwards. The whole pack. The whole pack, I'd say, up until even you talk about go forward at 12, they were just they were bullied in this game. They couldn't win any contest. They couldn't win any 50-50s. The scoreline even flattered them.
Yeah.
There was,
because those are areas that they capitalized off as well. They created nothing. They created nothing, and that's what I say. They must be careful that they're not going to be victims of their own creation, because you have to ask the questions. I mean, you mentioned when you talk about the pack, 8 out of 10 times those guys, or 80%, they know that, I'm the starting guy. There's no real.
But there was guys like Matanzima came in, and he did. One thing I'll say is he did look like one guy that was trying to force his way into the starting team.
See, like, what you get with him, you know what you get with him. But I'm just saying, just questioning in terms of, they've got all this personnel, they can fall victim to what they trying to create, and perhaps, the coach signed long-term contract on board, it can happen where then all of a sudden the team goes stale. So perhaps, you'd look at it and say, great teams weren't just built overnight, those dynasties. But at the same time, you can't ignore such consecutive performances. It's not necessarily about the losses. It's how they happen. If you know what I mean. So that's why we'll have these sort of questions. But credit to Munster though, because they had to step up and shut the Bulls out. Otherwise, if the Bulls started getting a roll, it changes already the momentum, changes the mindset to say, okay, now we're in, on tour, we're loving it, let's roll these guys, let's go again next week, let's do it again, now it's back to the wall for them, so it's this tour just got a bit tricky.
Yeah, and the Similani project as well also gets a bit more tricky. You've seen him fullback, now wing. It's starting to get a bit tricky there as well.
You see.
Yeah, Stormers, Friday, I think it was Friday night that they played Zas. Zas was back. To me, this one also another game on tour where I can't be too hard on them with this one. The weather,
I can.
I don't feel that way. I feel like the weather was off and on, and in the same way that Mike Lowry came to play, I feel like the whole Ospreys team came to play.
Okay.
I felt like the weather suited the way that they wanted to play, a more kicking game. The Stormers, they were disrupted by knock-ons, which is, it's on you, but it's also on the weather. The only thing where I can say is they struggled at the scrums and they struggled at the lineouts when Dweber came on. So those things, they're fixable for you. But when they did have the chance to counterattack, Mani Lebok, the emphasis on Bok, he had a bit of magic. The only thing I'll say about Lebok, drop goal was a bit premature. Maybe should have gone one more phase before, he dummied one way and then went for it. Rather set another phase, and because they were rolling at that time.
Yeah, I hear you with that, but I don't think it should have even got to the point where you had to try for a drop goal, because fact of the matter is that they were leading, 5 minutes to go. And they put themselves in a position where, gave the Ospreys a sniff. And then again, they, when it counted the most, you kept them out the whole night, kept them out the whole night, and yes, the Stormers try was a bit different, and it came early on, but the difference here is that the Stormers kept them out the whole night up until there's 5 minutes left, and, away from home, you got to hold on, you got to do something, you need to, and for me, it's just, I don't think they should have even allowed themselves to be in that position, needed to be a bit more clinical, show that championship quality, you know what I mean? Because, hey, listen, you up 7 points away from home, just kill this thing, find a way, I think that will be a learning for them, and that's why I say, for me, in that regard, I can say, they'll find a problem there, but, with all that you mentioned, you're right, definitely can improve away from home, tough one, but one that they should have gotten more out of it. They should have gotten the maximum out of it. Well, not maximum in terms of bonus point, but they should have gotten the win.
And for me, the thing is, a lot of our sides are struggling with the platform. You're either struggling with the line out or you're struggling with the scrum. We can't keep relying on physicality because eventually they're going to adjust to us. Eventually they're going to get hardened to the way that it's like in the Munster game where the Bulls couldn't outmuscle them. So I think even here, like the Stormers, they couldn't lay that platform that they wanted to.
The way that they wanted.
Yeah. So I agree. Maybe they should have put some points on earlier in the match.
Yeah, like you said, it was conditions are on and off, so you take opportunities when they're there. And yes, I understand you're a confident team, but look, I think this game will do them a world of good if they're on that right trajectory where, if they find themselves in that position again, I think they won't make the same mistake, in terms of letting the team back in with 5 minutes to go. But, it's credit to Ospreys, never say die, and going on talking about physicality and showing something different. The Shark attack, I kind of like, what they do.
Yeah, Sharks just signed Fenter. Just want to throw that in there. Covering four center, which Van Rensburg's out now. He's got that suspension, but it should be a really good mix of players there. You've got Ben Taps, you've got Van Rensburg, then you're going to have Fenter. It's and then you still have coming back, so it's going to be a good mix of players. Potgieter, I don't think stepped up as well as you would have liked. But in this one, I feel like the guy that did step up was Chamberlain. I felt he looked comfortable, really comfortable at it.
I look good.
I've long been a proponent of Cohen Bosch's agent finding accommodation elsewhere, and I think this is another one of those games.
Yeah, because it's going to be difficult to come back from this. The stability that they've got, if they change it, I would definitely question it, because right now they've got that stability. Give the guys, let the guy continue driving, But I think as well, for him to be able to do that, I'm liking what I see with the new infusions in the pack. You can see the difference that a lock like Itzebeth has on the pack. Some of the guys, and no disrespect to a guy like Hiron Andrews, and the guys that have been playing there, he's elite. He's on a different level. And that's what the Sharks have been really, if you look at actually in the pack.
That's why I said last week, there's not too much to worry about. They didn't have their box in that. You look at that Leinster team, you look at like the game that they had. If they had these guys in the team, I don't think certain points in the game they would have gone behind to that extent. Fassi, though, continues to be suspect on defense.
He's on a defense. He's on fraud watch for sure. From a defensive point of view, because man, maybe he's just not confident right now defensively. And you can understand that. Because on attack, he's razor sharp on attack. That's instinctive. It's natural for him. It's not a problem. It's just defensively, and also from a tactical point of view and tactical decision making point of view. There's definitely. You can see, honestly speaking, when you see these sort of errors, you actually can see why that he hasn't, and I've said this before, he hasn't actually pushed on in the box setup, where it seemed like some guys have just jumped over him. It's those technicalities that now they're showing themselves, and it's okay. The question now is going to be, can he, come right, at the end of the day, or is he just going to be that just a URC player, that's honestly.
You're right, because this then becomes a thing that you put on a player to say, like, too many performances where that kind of thing happens. It's been 2 in a row now. The next thing is 3, 4 in a row, and then that's the type of player that you are. Yeah.
You see? So yeah, hopefully he comes right in good time, because you'd love to see him, the full spectrum, because he's got that, he's got that, and he'll on attack. There's no problem. It's just the other fundamentals, especially playing a fullback, because now if he's out, who's the fullback? Who's the fullback? Okay, then you spoke about the Boks in the Sharks team, but when they out, that's where I have my problem, is that the next guys, because now it looks like it's just the quality is just too much, right? And obviously when they're there, it's going to show. Now when they're out there, the coaches now, that's where now the coach comes under the microscope to say, yes, the quality of players may not be there, the same quality, but how you need to get the other guys, performing and getting the result. That's why for me I can have problems there, but with this past weekend, I think it just shows, Chituka, you see, I'm just excited by what he's going to do. It's only the beginning, I think for me, I can see he can fit in. If he fits in for me, the big ball carrying number 7, in terms of that Sharks power game, his traditional Sharks power game in the pack. I'm loving Pepsi. I'm loving the quiet graft that Pepsi's doing. He's head down and he's carrying, he's putting in those carries.
Even the offloads, he had some good offloads as well.
Yeah. and he's growing, and he's, the fundamentals, and he's making less and less mistakes, in games. And I think quietly, he can be a dark horse. And I'm backing him. And I'm going to be controversial.
I back him, but at the same time, Horn is on fire. There, I can't.
Yeah, look, he's on fire. But I'm talking about that. He's on fire when it's open. Anybody can be on fire when it's open. I'm talking about that those hard yards, but that are needed. Those hard yards that are needed. And I think he's paying his dues. And just keep an eye on him.
Listen, personally, I agree, especially for the Boks game. They played a bit tighter than Lions, for example. But the camp was announced. All I can say, final comments, is that they were cowards to leave Elton out. I don't know what his club situation is at the moment, but they were cowards to leave him out. Huason, the only 10. And I mean, he's been in the squad a long time, but I mean, he didn't impress. He hasn't impressed on tour necessarily. He hasn't. If we're talking about, we can literally look at all the other 10s and say that these guys are impressive. So out of the teams, you look at the rankings, the power rankings, the rankings of what's happening now, and he's coming forth. So I'm not sure. I won't go any further. But I'll just say they especially, that was the only question mark that I have. Besides, I'm always going to question Jesse Drill. But yeah, that was the only one.
When I think of Alton, I think of Mario Balotelli. That why always me? Why always me? Because yeah. We can see how the switcheroo, let's get our guy, but let's leave it there.
Any closing remarks, Chris?
Yeah, the switcheroo, that's all I'm saying. It's a switcheroo, man. It's a hoodwink. Now Hussein is the team.
We've been hoodwinked, we've been bamboozled, and we've been led astray. I think that's it from us. Dummy Switch Pod. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.